Firstly then, Steve, Sean Holly on commentary reckoned you had your smiley face on in the last quarter out in Cork. Is this true?
No, I doubt I'll have a smiley face, but no, it's a good performance from us, and I thought towards the back end of the game, I thought we controlled it for large periods, and I thought it was a real team effort, and I thought we thoroughly deserved the win.
Did you feel that it was going against you when you were behind and playing into the wind?
Yeah, I think we wanted to be positive, and sometimes the conditions, like we had the win, but we felt we wanted to really put our own mark on the game and really take control of the ball as opposed to hanging on away from home, and I thought the boys did that. I thought probably the tries are a little bit unfortunate, in particular the first one, but then we were in control of the ball for the second try as well, which is disappointing. But when we were asking these young guys to adapt and really be positive in the way they want to play away from home, then there are always going to be some of those sort of turnovers that you don't really want. But I thought the way they battled back, and even 17-10, I thought we really understood how we wanted to go and play, and I thought, irrelevant of conditions, I thought we played some good football.
Substitutions seem to have some impact as well.
Yeah, I think over the last couple of weekends, I thought the bench made a real impact against Glasgow, and we spoke about all week as going to places like Munster with such a young group, and some boys sort of making a debut, starting with JJ and things, and having an average age, I think, about 23. You're going to have to count on everyone, and it was a 23-man effort, and everyone put their hand up, and once again the bench had a real effect in the game, which is huge for us.
How did you assess Rhys Webb's performance on his comeback, his first game in 5.5 months?
Yeah, he didn't look as if he'd been away. I thought he really controlled the game. He slowed the game down when he needed to and sped it up when we were getting into good positions. But it's always great for young boys who are coming on the field. Look around, you got high-class international like Rhys coming in, and he's been buzzing around the place for the last couple of weekends, and I thought he really helped us drive home our win.
Disappointment then that he suffered a head knock in the last minute?
Yeah, it's disappointing for us, but more importantly it's Rhys, and he's come back from a long layoff. I don't think it'll keep him out for too long, but it's something we've got to make sure, in particular with these head injury assessments, we've got to be making sure the players at the forefront of our decisions around this.
Doubtful then to face Edinburgh on Friday?
Yeah, extremely doubtful for the weekend.
So what about that sort of immediate setback in terms of his progress? You'd have liked to have him on board. I'm sure Mr. Gatlin might be thinking about having him on board with Wales as well. Yeah,
look, Rhys is an outstanding player, and I think it's just making sure he gets enough minutes now and getting prepared, and going back into national duty will be a big step up. But yeah, it's only a minor blip for Rhys, and I thought he showed on the weekend for half an hour what outstanding rugby player is, how he's looked after himself to come back so quickly. So I don't think it'll put Rhys back too far.
What about other injuries from the Cork visit?
Touchwood, we're not too bad. I think we pulled up pretty well. Dimitri obviously is back, will be touch and go for the weekend. In such a short turnaround, it's another big ask for a young group, but it's something that we had a real good positive performance out in Munster, but we've realised how important it is to back that up with a home win, and we know how tough Edinburgh are, and you see on the weekend they probably deserved the victory down in Park of Scarlets, and they were a little bit unfortunate, but it's something that we know they've got the second best defensive record in the league, so we're going to have to be patient, and we're going to have to bring the same sort of energy and mindset in around the game we did in Munster.
Any players returning from injury for you?
Yeah, Jeff will probably be up for selection. Eli will be back in around the mix. He'll be training this week, but apart from that, I don't think there'll be probably too many.
Was Eli Walker just rested last week then?
No, it was selection. It was something that we made a selection decision on it, and as it was, his knee wasn't great, and he probably wouldn't have made the team anyway. But it was a selection decision.
What about Edinburgh and their narrow defeats down at Park of Scarlets? How did you analyse their performance there? Yeah,
I think they're a good outfit, and you see how well drilled they are. Defensively, they're pretty spot on. They're a physical bunch, and obviously around their defensive driving lineouts is a big focus for them. But then they've got some pace, and around their wingers, I thought they were a threat all night, and they'll be bitterly disappointed that they lost that game. But ultimately, it's something now they'll probably have the bit in between their teeth coming down, and they'll want to get an away win through this period.
How do you see your position in the table, having just beaten one mid-table side? You're up against the others who are just above you as well.
Yeah, I think over the next sort of 4 or 5 games, it is through that window. We've got Connacht, we've got Leinster, we've got the Scarlets over the next period, so a lot of it is in our own control, and that's something we've got to really focus with obviously the international boys away, like a big injury list is the only thing we can focus on is about ourselves, and it's something that, in fairness, this young group have done over the last couple of games, and it's something we've got to keep on doing and making sure we back this up against Edinburgh, because I think if you can pick up a couple of wins, then you really climb the table pretty quickly, because there's only 11 points, I think, separated in 1 to 7.
Mentioning your international group, and 3 of your forwards, Paul James, Aaron Jarvis, James King, haven't had any game time over the first 2 weekends with Wales. Would you hope to get them back for a bit of game time against Edinburgh?
Yeah, I think with those guys, they'll be desperate to come back if they haven't had any rugby, and they'll be like, obviously we've had conversations around who and what could be back, and it's something that we'll probably clear up by the end of play today.
And a word about the Wales back row conundrum. The debates go on and on about those 2 flanker positions. How did you assess that particular area of the game between Wales and Scotland?
Look, I think Wales have got plenty of firepower, and I don't think you can get too many decisions wrong. And the fact you've got Lids, Warburton, Faletau, Tips, and then you've got people like Baker and things down with us. I think there's plenty of strength and depth, and at the end of the day, I'm sure Gas will work his way through it.
I suppose it's just a question of style whether Dan Lydiate or Justin Tipuric starts at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, and it depends on opposition as well. France will be heavier and those kind of things, but ultimately those boys can adapt to any situation. You see Lids' attacking game is developing with us, and Tips defensively is just as strong in probably a little bit different ways, but it's horses for courses, and if you're a Welsh coach and you've got those sort of guys at your disposal, then you're in a pretty positive position.
Do you ever see a time when they might start together, or do you think that's unlikely, given that Sam Warburton being the captain is the other element of the mix?
I think it's always there, it's always about performance, and with Gats he'll make those decisions according to performance, and he'll go along with that. But like I say, it's something that I think Wales are pretty fortunate to have, those high calibre players in those positions, and obviously we're pretty happy with Lids and Tips being Ospreys.
Steve, where does that win rank among the performances that you've overseen?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think it's the way we went about our performance. It wasn't like we've had some pretty heroic performances out in Ulster where we're making sort of 200, 250 tackles to win games 13-11 or 12-11 or something like that. But it's something I think we really went there to put our stamp on the game, and I thought we controlled a lot of the game. We tried to play a hell of a lot of rugby, and we go into Cork and play in Munster. It is a tough place to go. I don't think they'd lost in 12 games there or something, so it's something that for such a young group to go and express themselves the way they did, and look, there's still lots for us to improve on, and there's still, in around a young group, there's always those sort of peaks and troughs. I think that was a real good learning experience for us, and we've got to take that on board. But now comes a different proposition in Edinburgh. I think probably defensively they'll be stronger, they're a bit of a heavier team, and they're more physical, but it's something that we're going to have to adapt, and all these experiences are great for such a young group.
How did you assess Sam Davis's effort?
Yeah, I think he's growing all the time. I think some of his movement's outstanding, but that's only as good as the forwards movement and around him and some of the backs. So I think it was a real team effort. Sam is really driving it, and I think over the last sort of block, Sam has been outstanding. You see him in around driving things in around the environment, in callers, meetings, units. He's really stepping up the forward, but I think he's been more consistent with his performance as well. I think his routines are getting better, and still in around the game on the weekend there was so much good in around him, and yet there's still so much improvement, and those times when he's getting excited on some of our exits and forcing things, and obviously it's managing that, but going through those experiences. But there's so much good in Sam Davis's game, and it's a real positive for us at the minute.
This week is a short turnaround. How much of a challenge will that be?
It is a tough challenge for such a young group, and physically some of the boys haven't gone through 80 minutes. I think like you look at Owen Watkin, his Glasgow is his first senior 80 minutes, then he's off to the 20s. Managing people through these windows is important, but like I said, we've got obviously Jeff coming back into the mix, we've got the potential of Eli, but now obviously with JJ, Owen, Josh, we've got a little bit of wriggle room where we can move people around if we needed to. And up front, like I said earlier, some of the bench performances have been really spot on, and there's not too much between our starter and our bench. And I thought the standard of work when those guys are coming on, it shows they all know their roles, they're all doing something for the team. And look, there's one key line now to get the penalty out the back end of the game. We've got our benches emptied out, and the detail of the roles are spot on, and ultimately gets us the penalty that sees the game out for us.
Do confidence in Webb during the Six Nations?
I don't know. I think at the end of the day they've got pretty strong armaments there, and Gareth obviously playing well and things, but Webby, you know, will slot back in pretty quickly. But I think probably Gats is well aware of how much rugby you need to play, and he's probably got his own mind to it. If Reece had to go back, he'd perform. I've got no doubt about it, but it's making sure he's in a match ready for those international windows.
And what did you think of Engelbrecht?
Yeah, I think it was good. I think we haven't sort of flogged him with too much detail. We've let him try and be himself in around some aspects. We've just given him the framework of what we try to do. But I think this week now we'll pick up a little bit more. But you can see if you get one-on-one opportunities, I think things can happen around him. Athletically, he's pretty gifted in around his speed and his movement, and he's still getting up to speed with a lot what we do. And I think when you put like JJ into the mix with a lot of young kids, I think it was a real good achievement for what we done out in Munster.